I'm Matt Mahler
Hi,
with.
Matthew.
Hi, how are you? It's a real pleasure to speak with you.
You too.
Yeah, I love this film and your work for. I mean, you're great. Come on. So there are. It's such a moving movie to me, and also these universal themes of guilt and forgiveness. But I
Yeah.
really love how Catholic it is, how specifically it really uses all this iconography and symbolism to tell this story. Was there anything about that religious register or the idea of the afterlife, anything like that, that personally resonated with you, or did you sort of have to touch up on that to get into the character?
That is a great question. And I, I find it really interesting. I find people searching for spirit and connection to God. I find that fascinating. It's deeply human and it takes so many different forms. So this film I thought was a really great opportunity to explore where that need comes from, and also how where the possible trappings of that can show up, and sort of relying on religious iconography, trying to get closer to spirit, but then also missing it entirely. And that is a huge part of the journey that Claire, the character that I play, goes through in the movie. And it's all based in a much deeper and more sort of universal experience, emotional experience of grief and loss and guilt. And these are fundamental experiences that we all go through. And then the movie, I think, is about how we try to wrestle with those things and how much we let them control our lives, what we try to do, whether it's religion or any number of other things, some of which we experience in the movie, to try to come to terms with these incredibly intense emotional traumas. And so I think I love the idea in the film. I love that we do have the religious aspect of the film, because that is a place where many of us go to try to find solace and to try to find peace in our own hearts and our own spirits. And then ultimately how that can either guide us or not toward the what the real truth is. And so I thank you for the question, because I love that element of the journey of this role. I mean, this role in this film.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And your character sort of relies on that to keep her tethered in a strange place, kind of, that's she's in this beautiful place, but her marriage separated. She's not at her home,
Yeah.
and when I spoke with Robert, he said you two were maybe the one of the too few non-Italians during the production. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's right. You obviously have a knack with languages and you display it here, but was that isolating at all? And did that isolation sort of service your performance?
It was isolating, and I do think that it contributed to the performance. I think, I love when place can be a really integral character in the film, or in the TV show. Friday Night Lights was a great example of that. Very different, obviously, but I think that Rome gives such a sense of place to this movie, and also such a sense of isolation as an American in that world, and the way that it was shot. And yes, the actual experience of going there and not being an Italian speaker, and going in and shooting these very intense scenes every day. It was very isolating, and it did help contribute for me the to the feeling of what it must to be this woman in the world because she has created her own isolation. Claire, the character.
Absolutely. And that ending is so incredible. I was tearing up. It's very vulnerable because you don't
Yeah.
have the usual things to rely on like set or dialogue. How did you tackle that? It's such an emotional closing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was really that was something where I really had to rely on the vision of the director because I didn't know what that was going to be. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know, I was constantly, as we were shooting the movie, trying to envision what this world was. We were creating this kind of supernatural hereafter. And I give a lot of credit to Bob, the director, because he really created that vision. And I just sort of helped to try to I carried the emotional part of that, and that was what was important to me was within the world that he created for all of us on film. I wanted to make sure that there was that emotional redemptive quality to it and that moment for the film, which was such an important aspect to it.
Yeah, work and the score was so great.
Oh, great.
While I have time, I wanted to touch on this. I'm sure 100 people have said it, but you played Sydney Sweeney's mom in The White Lotus. Sweeney played Reality Winner in Reality, and now you're playing Reality's mom and Winner. So you kind of
Totally.
have close, yeah,
So weird.
yeah, you have a close look at Sweeney and Amelia Jones, and obviously they're two very different films and actors, but what different aspects of reality do you think each of them sort of fine-tuned in different ways?
Well, I hate to say I have not yet seen Sydney's version of the story, but I know what that is because that was basically verbatim the FBI going into Reality's home. And so that, which I think is I know that must have been incredibly powerful, um and really, really cool. So I have to see that. Um but the movie that we did, what's great about it, first of all, I think it's a really important story. I'm so glad that Sydney did that version, and that people are able to see that and see that verbatim kind of dialogue. And then the version that we did on our movie Winner is almost a Black comedy. So there's tonally, it's almost like trying to capture the experience of that, which was incredibly harrowing and devastating in a lot of ways, but almost farcical and reflective of that that era of our history, this era of our history, which I think I think telling the story with that particular tone is helps us to sort of stand back from it a little bit and say, oh, this is a very you kind of have to have a little bit of a sense of humor because you can't quite believe that it's true. It's almost like it's funny because it's true. Um, so I hope that audiences are going to enjoy that. It'll be entertaining to watch the movie and also illuminating.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, last quick hypothetical imagination question. What's Tami Taylor doing in Philadelphia? How's her life? What's that spinoff like?
You're so awesome. I forgot Tami Taylor's in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
No, don't you think they've gone back to Texas by now? I mean, I don't think they're really Philly people. I think she did a great job, and I think she probably went back to Texas and she's now, I don't know, maybe she's at SMU or something. I don't know. I feel like they're back in Texas.
Yeah, I
But
don't see her at an. Oh,
but I was gonna say, but she still has like she's the president of a college or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of this. I can't wait for people to see both films, Hereafter and Winter. And you were so classy. Connie Britton, one of the
Oh,
best.
thank you. You're so sweet. I
No,
appreciate it.
thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.